This is the Talon News.
Welcome to your Eagle update for the week of October 21st. We're here with athletic director and head football coach Todd Rogers, a two-time state championship with over 200 wins, the winningest coach in Argyle football history. He's led his football program to 6 state championship games since his becoming head coach for Argyle football in 2003 and is on the verge of making another playoff appearance. Perfect. So we are going to kind of start off with some team-focused questions. So I have them kind of divided based off the focus on each question. So starting with team focus, what do you see as this year's team's greatest strengths going into this playoff season?
Well, I'm old and I've seen a lot of football teams, right? So I've been an assistant coach and I've been a head coach. And I think this football team has all the qualities of a championship team. I think they have incredible work ethic and I think they have a real commitment to physicality. They may be bigger than other people at different spots, or we may be smaller at the running back spot, right? But I think the physicality they bring to the game and their work ethic and practice set them apart from other teams.
Yes, sir. And where do you think this team can improve kind of going in there? What spots? I know they have a lot of strengths, obviously, as we've seen, their mentality is great. Is there anywhere they can improve either physically or mentality wise?
Well, every football team strives for excellence, and I think that you have to phrase it like that. You're never looking for perfection. You're striving for excellence, and I think a football team that works together for a long time tries to get it right so many times they can't get it wrong. And I think this football team, as far as the execution of plays versus different defenses, and obviously defensively speaking, the execution of defenses certainly against the opponent's offense is paramount to our success. And so you're always looking for cumulative learning, just like a teacher in the classroom. You can stack learning and build all these experiences, then you get more plays right and you get wrong.
Yeah, definitely. I think the quote I've always had a coach that says, you don't do it till you get it right. You do it till you can't get it wrong. I feel like that's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Okay, moving on. And then since obviously you are such a veteran when it comes to Argyle football, I mean, just unprecedented. How does this team compare to those of the past? Is there anything that really stands out? Is there anything you've seen with years prior that, you're excited to kind of build on having that past knowledge?
Yeah, I think knowledge is critical here. There's qualities of every championship team, and I think this team certainly possesses that. One of the things that sets them apart is player led. There's lots of really good football teams, and I can use colleges as an example. You have the military institutes, the Navy and the Army, where it's they're disciplined. It's just the paramount, and then you have the really talented teams at these major universities, Texas, Georgia, just to name a few, Florida to name a few, where you have these incredible athletes. Well, the championship team every year comes about by the most player led team. And I think that's critical. I've been to 2 state championships outside of Argyle. So that's 8 total, and I think player-led teams are the number 1 ingredient for success.
What do you think makes an Argyle football player kind of stand out compared to maybe these other teams you've coached or even teams maybe you watch, like these college football teams? What do you think Argyle specifically brings to the plate that other schools maybe are lacking?
Well, we have a strong commitment to just work, and I think the work ethic that we instill upon our kids at a very young age. I think our parents, even in our youth organization, teach our kids to work hard. And then, at the middle school level, we teach them to work hard and show up and be committed. And then by the time they get to me, they're so looking forward to being the Friday night football player. They're willing to spend their time before school, spend their time in fourth period, and spend their time after school to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
You have quite a few standout leaders on this team this year. If you could just take a second to brag on some of these individual players and what makes them stand out in Argyle football.
Well, for the first time in Argyle history, that means 21 prior seasons, we've made a decision to have an application process for our captains, and they went through a Google Sheets and just answered a bunch of questions, and they had to apply to even be on the captain ballot, and then among their peers they were voted, and I think the 4 we have are pretty dadgum good kids. We have Weston Cheney and Nathaniel Bruce, McGuire Gasperson, and Garrett Westrom, and they're the epitome. They're good football players. but they're good kids and they do things right, and they're able to have hard conversations with football players. So I'd like to brag on them because I lean on them, and I haven't had to lean very hard because they're fabulous teammates, and they know how to operate. They know how to practice hard every day. They have a lot of joy when they practice, and it just makes things better when they're out there leading from the front. So those 4 kids, in my mind, stand out as individual players.
How has it worked previously? Is it coach elected?
No, it's always been player elected. It's always been player elected, but we've kind of just used our roster and said, okay, vote for your top 3 captains, and we have them hand write them down and all that. But we went a different path this year because we wanted the kids have to take an extra step, even if they wanted that kind of
that initiative.
that initiative. And so, and we did, and we had 13 really good applications, and so we got the right ones picked. Now that doesn't mean we don't have other leaders on our team. We have lots of other leaders, but those 4 kids stand out.
You've seen a lot of personalities through your time as an Argyle coach. How would you say you managed to make a more personal impact on each player?
Well, I think this has got an academic answer to it. I think I'm no different than another teacher. I think I get a classroom of 25 kids. I have to learn what pushes their buttons, and I have to learn what kind of learning style they have, and I have to spend a lot of time with them and engage them at a very high level. I have to create a safe environment for them to learn, and I have to build an environment that they can receive criticism, because I can say some really hard things. Right now you're not playing very good. I need you to play better. And I need you to do this, this, and this. And if the environment is not conducive by me or my coaches for them to receive criticism at the very highest level, then I don't have the right environment. So all personalities require something a little bit different. Some kids are tactical learners, and some kids like for it to be modeled for them, and some of them can watch it on video and mimic it. That's a very talented person that can do that. So you have to reach them in a lot of different ways. No different than the English teacher, no different than the math teacher.
Would you say that honesty is kind of like one of your key principles, almost like bluntness? Would you say, is that an effective throughout your time as a coach? Would you say what's one of your?
I think you have to be truthful, and I think being honest and truthful with them without being attacking is a way to get kids to trust that their feedback they're getting is respectable and they can take it. Sometimes that's not always the delivery. Obviously, if you're in a very emotional, intense environment in a ball game, the delivery is not the best at times because there's lots of emotions and feelings involved. And so you have to re-enter that during film session on Saturday or even the next week to get that fixed and get it corrected. And remember, we're trying to get all the plays right. And so that's always the goal. We're striving for excellence. And so the excellence has to appear in the practice field as well as the football game. And we're all pulling the same direction. And so the feedback has to be just the feedback.
So you've coached for nearly 15 years. Is that correct?
I coached it 15 years before I ever got this job.
Oh,
so it was 38 years.
38 years. There you go. So over those 38 years, what are some of the core principles you've kept during that time, along with kind of that? What would you say you really, after everything else is gone and done, what would you say you rely on most?
My core principle is my football team played hard. If I wanted to put something as an epitaph on a headstone, I would want that as my core principle. I think energy and effort surpasses talent. I think kids can learn to play hard and give a tremendous amount of energy and effort. It teaches them that they can surpass their comfortable little cocoon selves. I think we roll out of bed every day trying to be comfortable. And if we can just stay in a comfort zone, we feel like we had a good day and we won the day. Obviously, my goal every day is to create a little level of uncomfortableness and growth. And I think the growth happens in the uncomfortable phase. And so each and every day as a football guy that organizes practice and gets at this, my goal is to make them uncomfortable and learn something new. And I see that. I see them expose themselves to that, and they're willing to show up and put that risk out there for them to grow exponentially. And if I've done that and they've received it and they come out on the other side with joy and adoration for the game of football, then I've done my job.
Along with being able to put yourself in that uncomfortable zone, what would you say makes a coachable athlete? I mean, you hear that word all the time, coachable. How do you see that? What makes a person coachable?
I think coachability is a person that's willing to accept criticism without tying their feelings to it. I think a coachable person knows that they're going to get feedback and they're not going to adversely respond to the feedback. Obviously, if somebody is coachable, they've learned to nurture and grow relationships. And there's a level of trust and intentionality in that scenario. And I think that there's a bond between a coach and a player that feedback is going two ways. And if the feedback can go both ways, then it's an environment that success is going to prevail from.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, through that bond, I think that's just something so special that really only athletics sometimes can bring. So, how do you see your role in not only shaping these athletes as athletes, but also, young men of our society, young men as a part of Argyle School District and as the faces of Argyle School District? How do you see your part in that, and what do you do to ensure that you're shaping them into young men of society?
Right. Well, I'm a father, right? So, a father of three, soon to be a grandfather of four. But it's critical that I see myself as that because I think that's important. And I teach them to do hard things. And I teach them to do hard things repetitively and build confidence. So when they face hard things as a father and they face hard things as, a husband and they face hard things in the workplace, that they're able to self-talk, put themselves in a mind frame that they can do hard things and they can face the challenge and pick themselves up by the bootstraps and accomplish the task because of all the successes they've had in the past. So my goal is for them to be all those things and to make millions of dollars and then and when I'm in my retirement age, hire me to do something.
Oh, yes, definitely. Hopefully those relationships last for as long as possible. Have you had anyone, obviously, since you just impact a lot of people, has anyone come back to you and said, like, you were such a great part of me, or anyone you can think of?
I stood on the patio last night watching a middle school football game, and a kid that I coached over at Marcus, stood up there with me, and his kids go to school in Argyle, and they can remain nameless, but it's what the idea is. It was a special bond. We played in the 95 and the 97 state championship while I coached at Marcus, and those kids have since grown men now, have moved out here and have their own kids that are attending Argyle High School and Argyle Middle School. So yeah, I see them all the time. I went to Marty B's a month and a half ago, and they were having the 2003 or 2004 graduating class reunion, and I went upstairs and barged in, 25 kids, that I hadn't seen in 20 years, right? And it was hugs, tears. It's good stuff.
You've added a few younger coaches to your staff this year, Nanny, Marcourt, Brazel, and Hunt. How do you develop these young coaches, and how do you manage to kind of mesh their personalities on your staff?
Okay, that's a good question. When I was 35 years old, I don't know that I saw myself as a guy that was going to lead young men in the coaching ranks. But as you get older, all right, the good Lord changes your lens, right? And he gives you opportunities to lead young men on your football team, but he gives you opportunities to lead good young coaches too. So it's this essence of paying back, right? Or paying it forward. And so these kids are awesome. They're good young men that have more energy than I do. They got more enthusiasm than I do about some certain things. But they love the game of football and they love the public school environment. And for me to guide them and lead them, and obviously my job as a 58-year-old and a guy's been 22 years is to coach the coaches as much as I do the kids. And so we have plenty of time for mentoring and tutoring, and I have a good seasoned coaching staff that grows and lets those guys blossom. But really it kind of comes from it just comes from doing and failure. Doing and failure teach a lot in our society, and we kind of throw them in the fire, and we give them some guidance and some nurturing, and give them a few tools to work with, and then send them out there in the big bad world and let them get out there and coach a little bit and find their passion, and they're driven. They're very motivated and they're very driven. Uh, the requirements these days it's 7 days a week, and they're having to explain to their spouses, yeah, I got to go in on Sunday for a high school football team, and so they're having to learn to manage that piece of it too. But I just tell them to blame me. All right, I'm the guy that makes them come into work. But the cool thing about it is, Hunter Marquardt played football for us. He graduated in 2015. He was a silver medalist in the 200-meter dash. He was state champion in baseball, as well as a state finalist in football. We lost in overtime that year in 2014. So he's a very accomplished athlete. He played 4 years for the Philadelphia Phillies, right? Organization. So, he's nothing new under the sun as far as athletically for him. Kel Nanny is a football player at Hardin Simmons, and Coach Brazel's dad was a high school football coach out at Hebron. So this world is not new to them. This world is it's a different lens because they've walked to the other side of the fence, right? And for them to come out and be able to look at education from the other side of the desk is fun for me. It's fun for me to see that. And it's fun for them to grow and blossom in that realm of the world.
So we kind of touched on this earlier, but I think that this is a big thing, obviously, in Argyle, kind of with that, obviously the DNA mindset. And when you think of DNA, I think of just kind of how these boys have honestly been bred to be Argyle athletes. I mean, starting, youth sports, starting with football, growing up, all of that. So with that said, what do you value more? You kind of touched on it earlier. Do you think you value natural talent and ability more? Or do you think you value the attitude that, a football player steps on the field with?
Yeah. Those are not comparable. Those are incongruent in the math world. Okay. So I would say talent or work ethic. People can have a good attitude and not be a functioning, high-achieving person. I think Saban has been quoted saying there's like high achievers don't like low achievers, and low achievers don't like high achievers. I like high achievers. And I think we've set a standard in Argyle of high achievement. Many, many years ago when I was hired, I knew this district had a potential to be successful in every realm of a public school. If it's fine arts, if it's athletics, it did not matter. Academics, obviously. I mean, I don't know how many championships we won in academics. We were pushing for excellence in every aspect of our school, and we believed in that. And so we were Lone Star Cups were racking up, and we kept, it became this big animal. We just kept feeding this animal, and we looked up and we had achieved in everything that we had participated in. And so it was fun. It was exciting, but it was tough. And we've kind of got ourselves in a spot now that if we're not careful, we're going to be disappointed. And, and we could be achieving it literally at the state level. And we might be disappointed if we don't win that gold medal or that gold championship. So it's been a culture of excellence from the very, very beginning. And so our kids on the sidelines or whatever, a band contest, a fine arts contest or academic contest or a football game, the kids on the sidelines want to be in the arena. And they're willing, and the parents are willing to expose them to so many academic and learning environments or skills or quarterback lessons or whatever, because they want their kid to be in that arena of excellence. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. The minimal amount of apathy. That's good. That's good. We have a bunch of hard-charging moms and dads that are wanting to raise their kids and expose their kids to hard-charging, not results-oriented environment, but more of an environment that they can learn hard things and repeat the process when they get to be older.
With a pretty good chance of making the playoffs this year, what are some standout teams you've seen this year outside of our districts?
Well, we've played them. We've
Yeah, that first game.
we've played a pretty rigorous schedule, right? Frisco Lone Star is obviously a Division One school. Midlothian Heritage, obviously a Division Two school, but we faced some tough, hard-nosed football teams that I think has asked us and demanded of us to be the very best football team that we could be at that time. Are we much better this last week than we were in week 5? Absolutely. And I think that's where we're trying. That's where we're trying to be. We're not the football team we're going to be in week 10. Obviously we're going to be hitting on all cylinders and peaking at the right time. The way the UIL redrew the lines last year, we're gonna play Melissa, Lovejoy, Frisco Emerson, Panther Creek, that district over there, Anna. That's going to be a pretty tough district. So, the by-district opponent is going to be a very well-seasoned team. That's going to be a tough challenge. And then as far as the rest of the realignment, we're in Region 1. So you'll see us travel out west for a couple of weeks, possibly, if we're able to advance and play the likes of Abilene or even El Paso or a Lubbock school to work our way through the playoffs. And then we would bounce back for the state semifinals game versus a Region 2 team. And then the way they have it matched up is Region 1 plays Region 2, and then Region 3 plays Region 4 down south, and then they meet at the state championship level. So it's good. It's good. I like the way we are. I think we're getting as healthy as we've been all year, and I don't really worry or fret or have any anxious, sleepless nights about watching the future. I tend to focus on us. It's us. There's a standard for us. There's always been a standard for us. And practice has a standard. And if you do so many practices, every week, and there's a standard of excellence in that practice, then the game kind of takes care of itself.
Yes, sir. Well, we just want to thank you so much for your time. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we go ahead and get off air?
Absolutely. I want to shout out first. I think the critical shout out should go to the people I've surrounded myself with. I'll do in reverse order. Obviously, the admin at Argyle ISD, the coaches that I've tricked into hiring and coming here, not only on the football staff but all the other sports. They are tireless workers. They have immense amount of energy to be the very best they can be. And then, last but not least, is my wife and family. I've been able to prioritize Argyle ISD and being the athletic director and the head coach for many, many years, or many times putting them second, putting my job first. But me and my wife have 250 wins.
There you go.
And she's reminded me about that a couple of times because I couldn't go coach football and do the things that I loved and I've done if she wasn't home taking care of kids and raising kids.
Mm-hmm. I'm a military child, so I definitely get that.
You understand that. And, there's been lots of sacrifices. My grandson plays on Saturday mornings, and I've seen only a couple of games because I'm working, doing the things that I need to do for our school to win on the upcoming Friday night. And it's I get there when I can get there. But I give a lot, and my family's given a lot to Argyle ISD, and that's what we signed up for. Yeah, it's not anything that we've sacrificed for beyond any other coach in the state of Texas. They want to have those experiences and give those experiences to kids because it's an educational environment.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for all your answers and for your time. This has been amazing. We are very grateful.
Right. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.